fuck is that supposed to mean? Hi guys, I have some opinions for you today. I don't even know where to start, to be honest. So yesterday I read an interesting little book called Normal People by Sally Rooney, or as I like to call it, boring people, or even obnoxious people. Okay, what were my expectations going into this book? They weren't that big, to be honest. Well, I was expecting something good, at least. I wasn't expecting something great, just because of the title Normal People, and then the weird little illustration on the cover of like the people in a sardine tin. The artsy-fartsy illustration of people in a sardine tin, being all quirky, with the title Normal People, you know. I wasn't expecting much, to be honest. The only thing I was expecting is for it to be kinda good, for it to be decent, readable even. Listen, this book has been nominated for several awards. It even won the British Book Award for British Book of the Year. Were the judges high? Am I high? Someone here is high. It also recently got a television series. Because someone was like, we need more of this in our life. You know how I can perfectly describe this book? It's the equivalent of, I'm not like other girls, but like, I'm not like normal people.
In case you haven't noticed, I'm weird. I'm a weirdo. I don't fit in, and I don't want to fit in. Have you ever seen me without this stupid hat on? That's weird.
This book is like everything that I hate about heterosexual relationships, basically. And everything I'm scared of, to be honest. Where to start, even? You know what? Let's start out with the characters, because this is a very character-driven story. But the problem is, the characters are boring as stale, week-old bread. And they're also annoying and pretentious. Characters I have written: cliché, stereotypes, boring. The plot is nowhere to be found. Where is it? I'm not seeing it. Even the writing, like, I'm so confused. It's just shit on all. The writing was overly pretentious and dull and pseudo-intellectual at best. Oh, I read this I went onto Goodreads. I went on a Google search because I was so confused how the fuck this book is like critically acclaimed and sold millions and has its own TV series and has won book awards. I'm so baffled. Is it just me? Is it me? So I went on the Goodreads and let me read you some of my favorite comments. Okay, this was one of the first comments I read on Goodreads, and I couldn't agree more. This is exactly what I was thinking when I started reading this book. This person writes, on the second page of Sally Rooney's universally acclaimed Booker long-listed novel is the following paragraph. He puts his hands in his pockets and suppresses an irritable sigh, but suppresses it with an audible intake of breath so that it still sounds like a sigh. What the fuck is that supposed to mean? And this book is like filled with sentences like this. Like these pseudo-intellectual, wannabe poetic garbage, nonsense. It makes no sense. And then someone else wrote, if you believe that characters who dislike themselves, shrug a lot, and say, I don't know 24/7, are very deep and realistic, well, this may be the perfect read for you. This is so accurate, I can't. And everyone was writing like, Rooney is defining a generation. I am insulted. I am disgusted.
I look at you and I'm disgusted.
So the story revolves around our two main characters, Marianne, I don't know how to pronounce that, and Connell. who are supposedly in a relationship, and we follow them from when they start this relationship as they are teenagers and then into like young adulthood. They are the most annoying people I've probably ever read about. And I actually read a autobiography about Stalin this summer. Aside from being boring, which in my opinion should be a crime, they are also at the same time, they're pretentious and annoying and self-centered and just the most unlikable people ever. The only thing they do in this book is keep telling each other how special they are and how they are so intelligent and so smart and so not like other people, like normal people, you know. But I do agree with the part that they are very special, because they collectively share one brain cell. And I think that's very special. They are the equivalent of everything I hate about heterosexual relationship. The relationship suffers from miscommunication. They have to constantly create conflicts because there are none. There are no conflicts in this book except for the ones that they create because of miscommunication, because of them being fucking idiots. Nothing else exists outside of their world, outside of them together. Like, no one else is remotely interesting. Their friends are just stereotypes. Their parents are stereotypes. Their family, like, Connell, his character he's poor. I guess it's told, I'll get to this, but this is also told to us repeatedly instead of being shown. So Connell's poor. He suffers from anxiety, which he also constantly mentions throughout this book, but we don't get any actual example of him going through like anxiety, of having like a panic attack or anything. And he's supposedly very intelligent and attractive, or girls like him, I guess. That's a character trait now. Yeah, that's all I got for Colin. Marianne is I hate her even more, probably. If it's even possible, I hate Marianne a bit more than Connell. Her character she's been abused, which is told to us. She doesn't care about anyone else thinks, but she acts in a way that suggests that she very much does care about other people's opinions. And she's obsessed with like being submissive to a man because she's been abused as a child. So that means that now she just craves attention from men. And yeah. Thanks, Sally Rooney. I found this book very offensive to a lot of people. I feel like this book is offensive to millennials, who, according to Sally Rooney, either don't care about the world or are pretentious assholes who merely pretend to care. I'm not saying this from my perspective because I don't know much about like BDSM or S&M relationships firsthand, but I feel like Sally Rooney also doesn't know shit about it. And like she writes this, it's very confusing the way she incorporates like Marianne's willingness to be dominated and like have like this like S&M relationship in her with her sexual relationships, but it's also it comes off as offensive and like unknowing what the hell it is you're actually writing about, because all she gives like she says she wants to be dominated because she was abused as a child and like she hates herself, but that's not like that. Those two don't necessarily have to be linked. Like if you enjoy a particular like thing in your relationship or in your sexual relationship, that's not equivalent to being abused or like something bad happening to you, or like. So I feel like this, again, it's like 50 Shades of Grey all over again. You're like writing about this edgy shit because you think it's like it's going to be critically acclaimed, and I guess it is now. Especially Marianne's situation is so stereotypical and so like out of a melodramatic soap opera. Like her brother is like abusive and he's like he literally walked out of like Stereotypes Anonymous. And her mother is like rich, and so that's obviously she's going to be like a snobby bitch because she's rich. The dialogue, oh my god. So most of this book revolves around Marianne and Connell's relationships, and they have these deep dialogues that really make you feel for them. For example, take a shot every time you read the words "I don't know" said by one of these characters, because you will get drunk and perhaps actually enjoy the book more. So I think that was my problem. I should have taken shots. Or take a shot every time Marianne tells Connell that some girl was looking at him and that she feels insecure. She doesn't even say she feels insecure. That's the thing. These people, they don't talk. They talk, but nothing comes out. Nothing. So you have pages and pages full of mundane tasks with some pretentious bullshit sprinkled throughout, like that first sentence I read. It's ridiculous. And then you have like someone saying something, and like another character's thinking, oh, that was so intellectual, that was so... No. The ending. I read like almost 200 pages to get to some crap ending that was abrupt, as if the rest was missing. I was confused. I was literally looking for where's the rest of it?
That can't be it. Where's the rest of it?
It was also cliche and sappy ending that again just stopped. Like the story just stopped and it didn't go nowhere, and it wasn't ever going to go nowhere. That's my fucking problem. Like, these characters didn't grow, the plot didn't go anywhere, nothing happened. Like, you could literally start at the beginning and then go to the ending and nothing changed. Nothing changed. There was also an attempt made at like this class struggle because Marianne is poor, because Connell is poor and Marianne is rich. But there's nothing about it in this book. Like it just keeps getting mentioned, and again this all comes back to what also annoys me the most about this writing is that, you know, we all know the saying show don't tell, and I know this is a novel, but that also applies to a novel. This also applies to writing. Like, instead of telling us all the time that Connell is poor, he's poor, he can't afford tuition, he has to work all summer. Like, show us that. Like, show us some scenes where he's at work. Or maybe we just learn that he's been working all summer. Or we just follow him working all summer. I don't know. Just give me something else besides him just explaining everything to us. Because then it was like reading a manual for like IKEA furniture. It was so boring. Let's save some salt for the actual examples that I have. Some of my favorite quotes from this book. Yeah, Marianne at one point says something like, she knew these were the kind of thoughts that made her different from other people in school and weirder.
In case you haven't noticed, I'm weird. I'm a weirdo.
Sally Rooney is trying to go out of her way to let us know that these two characters are so different, and they're so special and so intelligent, and they're not like the other people at school, but then all they do is like not care what other people think, and they eat lunch alone, and they read books. Oh. He reads books, you guys. He's special. I didn't know people could read in high school.
Reading? I didn't know you could read.
There's literally like a quote where Marianne asks Connell about his stereotypical friends Eric and Rob, and so she asked him if his friends knew that he read so much outside of school. And then he replies, they wouldn't be interested in that stuff. And then she says, "You mean they're not interested in the world around them?" Boldly she asked if he was going to kiss her again. He said, "What do you think?" This struck her as highly cryptic and sophisticated thing to say. What do you think? And then there's this one passage when Marianne asks him, "Oh, do you want to have sex again?" Or like, "Do you want to have sex with me?" And he's like, "Yeah, a lot." And then Marianne is thinking like, most people go through their whole lives without ever really feeling that close with anyone. You just asked him if he wanted to bang you and he was like, "Yeah, a lot." Is that feeling close to someone when you ask him to bang you and he's like, "Yeah"? What the fuck is going on? Oh, this lovely passage. When she wakes up in the morning, she opens her laptop on the opposite pillow and waits for her eyes to adjust to the rectangle glow of the screen so she can read the news. She reads long articles about Syria and then researches the ideological backgrounds of the journalists who have written them. You see how they're like the most obnoxious, annoying people ever. Like, no one behaves this way, Sally Rooney, or they shouldn't. Connell, at some point, thinks he doesn't really brag about her as such. Though as it happens, she's very popular and a lot of other men want to sleep with her. So, what's he trying to say? That he doesn't brag about her because she's popular and a lot of people want to sleep with her? The two most important attributes every woman should have. So this passage is fucking gold, because throughout the book all we hear is like how incredibly smart Marianne is, how incredibly intelligent Connell is. They're like the two smartest people of the world. They could end world hunger. Again, show don't tell, because what she shows us is this. There's this passage where Connell is like thinking that he enjoys Marianne, whatever the fuck her name is, telling other people with like rich daddies and that went to private school and expensive schools, that she tells them that Connell is the smartest person they'll ever meet. And so a bit further down the line, they're talking about threesomes for some reason. Marianne, Connell, and Marianne's stereotypical friend Peggy. And Peggy asks Connell, "Have you thought about like having a threesome or whatever?" And she explicitly asks him, "Oh, do you not fantasize about having your own harem?" And he's like, "No, not really." And then Peggy says, "Maybe just two then." And he's like, "Two what? Two women?"
Connell is the smartest person they will.
Two what? Two women? No, two donkeys. Oh my god. And then further down this book, I kept waiting for anything to happen. To like, give me something to work with here. But it just wasn't. And then, I'm not joking. There was like a certain chapter opening. And it started out, the first sentence was, "Marianne is reading the back of a yogurt pot in the supermarket." Oh, this is going to be a long story, isn't it? This is one of those examples, and like the rest of the page, the rest of the chapter was like filled with Marianne talking on her phone to her stereotypical friend who was telling some random story that we didn't even hear because it wasn't relevant to Marianne and it wasn't relevant to us. So what the fuck while she's telling this story that is not relevant whatsoever, we follow Marianne picking up things in the grocery store, looking at them, reading them, and putting them back. Why? Why would that be interesting for me to read? Like, the only thing I can think of, either she was just running out of material to fill this book with, or she thinks that that's character growth. That's personality, you know? People just going to the supermarket and looking at things. That tells me a lot about your character. Thanks. Thanks. So boring. I almost cried out of boredom. And then there are also I wanted to quickly mention, the chapters are titled like 3 weeks later, 4 months later, 2 years later. There were no years, probably like sometime later, because you can't actually give the chapters a title because nothing happens. That's why I think they're named like 3 months later, because 3 months, they're literally like the guy in SpongeBob who's like 3 years later, because nothing fucking happens. We're still just following these two boring people on their boring journey in their boring relationship. And when it isn't boring, it's unhealthy and downright creepy. Like, for example, this line is Connell talking about Marianne. Although he takes pleasure in seeing her look good, he feels a special sympathy with her when she looks ill or her skin is bad. Like when someone who's usually very good at sports has a poor game. It makes her seem nicer somehow. What does it make her? It makes her seem nicer. In what way? What do you mean? She's nicer as a person? She looks nicer? Like, that's... I don't get that. And then also, to compare someone looking bad or like being ill or like not having perfect skin, to compare that to someone having a bad game in their sports, like it's kind of offensive. Again, like sports, you playing sports or something, that's like something you work at, that's something you're passionate about, I assume. And then so you're comparing that to Marianne looking a certain way, to like a woman and they're having perfect skin is like something they are working at or being passionate about their looks. Get that the fuck away from me. I don't want that. And then also Marianne and Connell being like these really great, lovely people. They like date other stereotypical random people that they don't even like because all they do is like obsess over each other. So that's cute, I guess. At some point Marianne dates this guy Jamie, and it's mentioned that Jamie's dad was one of the people who had caused the financial crisis. And throughout this book, Marianne is like quick to tell everyone that capitalism is so wrong and it's money is a social construct. And she's like aware. She's like woke. But then she dates someone whose dad was also responsible for a financial crisis, and oh, she's also a hypocrite. Oh, that's not a personality trait we forgot. Oh, she's a hypocrite. Okay, great. It's true, she has seen Connell drink milk directly from the carton. He plays video games with aliens in them. He has opinions about football managers. He's wholesome, like a big baby tooth. Excuse my pronunciation, but what was he? Wholesome, like he was wholesome like a big baby tooth. I'm moving on. And then again, like the miscommunication, like this is so, for people that are so intelligent and smart and like getting all these scholarships thrown at them because they're so freaking genius, they can't communicate with each other for shit. Like all their interactions are like, I don't know, I didn't really know what was going on with us. Oh, well, you didn't say anything. Oh, well, it was obvious. Oh, well, okay. Oh, well, I'll head off then. Like, what's going on here? Just talk to each other. Like normal people, you know? The title of this fucking crap book. That's money, the substance that makes the world real. There's something so corrupt and sexy about it. I feel like a lot of these things that she writes are supposed to be ironic and like humorous, but like Nothing about this book is remotely funny or ironic. It's all treated as this melodramatic, serious mess. Connell remarks on the fact that Marianne made him feel damaged like she was, because that's a lovely thing you want out of your significant other. And then there's also this gross little sentence. Her body is just an item of property, and though it has been handed around and misused in various ways, it has somehow always belonged to him, and she feels like returning it to him now. Can we not, please? Like, that's not good. Ew, this is what I'm saying. This is like glorifying unhealthy, gross relationships. Like, I'm the first person to like read some unhealthy, fucked up shit. But like, you have to be self-aware. Like, I feel like this book is not self-aware one bit. And it's not supposed to be like a commentary or like written in an ironic, sarcastic way. Like, this is very much, this is what you get and this is what it is. Yeah, this was not good, guys. I don't recommend. I'm actually scared for like other critically acclaimed books now, because boy, this wasn't it, chief. I think I'm going to stop there. This is going to be way too long, but I hope you all will enjoy this. I certainly felt the need to talk to someone about this after my experience reading this lovely book. Please let me know in the comments what you thought of this book. Did you like it? I would love to hear someone else's opinion for a change, and we'll, yeah. So thank you so much for watching. I'll be back with another video very soon. Yeah, stay safe, stay healthy, don't read any shitty literature like I okay, whatever, I'm ending this. Bye.